Blah! Okay, I can't quite see myself. I'm trying something new today. I have no idea if this is working. Do we think this is working? You tell me if this is working. It's the Yarn Closet video podcast. I have changed my lighting to daylight LEDs. I think that gives better light. It's a gray day, so I'm leaving the window open behind me. And like I said, I'm trying to see if this works and if it helps with my sound and stuff. Lots to talk about today. I am Yarn Closet Arizona, AZ, Yarn Closet AZ on Instagram and Ravelry. I am Laura. I live in Tucson, Arizona. And I'm legally blind. That's why trying to take a decent video is sometimes a real challenge for me. So that's why I like all your feedback. Am I really concerned? No, because I can only do what I can do. That's just the truth. See this crazy? Doesn't work. This works a little bit. But do you see this? Do you see that little red spot? I had a butter knife in my hand and I was opening a cupboard and went boop. I mean, right there, people. And then this was from pulling a pan out of the oven the other night. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. So be kind to the old people in your life who get the bumps and the bangs and the whatever. I bet you anything their sight is starting to fail them more than they realize. So they are bumping and banging more because their depth perception's off. Anyway, this is a yarn podcast, mostly knitting, crocheting, and I have a circular sock machine and a circular hat machine. So I like to give out prizes, including sock tubes, because we all want to be sock knitters. And socks take much longer than you'd think. So hopefully sock tubes will be fun and exciting. And I know that even though it's very, very popular these days, it is crazy expensive to get a pair of socks cranked. And even if you buy like a skein of hand-dyed yarn for $25 and then pay the $15 fee to crank it, so now you're at $40 and then you pay the $5 shipping, that's a lot. So I'm hoping that through trying to create community and exchange with people that I can send out a little bit of love in some new and fun way that's not always accessible to everyone. My monthly prizes include a Braille stitch marker, at least a 50-gram sock tube that's cranked, usually at 8 or 9 stitches per inch, and usually on a 64-stitch cylinder. So it's 64 stitches because that seems pretty common for most people who do like socks. And I have been on and off and such. Recently lost some membership, which whatever, who cares? We all subscribe and unsubscribe to stuff on YouTube frequently. But I am trying to create community here because being legally blind, I don't get out much. I have a local yarn shop and I made a valiant effort to get there on a weekly basis, but it took a lot of people to do that. And what that means is it took a lot of people changing their schedule to allow me 2 or 3 hours with other people. And when you have to do that for every single thing in your life, it becomes overwhelming and you don't want to ask anymore. I mean, it's a burden. And I know that a fair amount of the people who do watch me are housebound, have illness. I totally get that. And I hope through being the knitting podcast that is illness friendly, disability friendly, that we can create our own little unique corner. For you new people, I have kids. My daughter is going to turn 4 in April. My son is turning 11 this month. He is a newbie to the homeschool world. He does online homeschooling. He may be interrupting me shortly to help with a quiz about the Dust Bowl, one of my favorite topics, being from Minnesota. And he got there due to bullying. He went to a private school. It was a Christian school, and yet he still experienced bullying. And the protocols put in place too often made him feel like it was his fault. So now we're doing this, and it seems to be going well. And the exchanges that he does get now, it's not daily, 7 hours a day of kid interaction, but the interaction he does get with other kids is good. So, I mean, I don't know. We're the generation, I think, that's the guinea pigs on what this is actually going to do to raising our kids and how this is going to change them. There's never been a generation that's had so many homeschooled kids. I don't know. But so far, day to day, he's happier, he's more at peace. He's not chewing his clothing, he's not biting himself. So that's fabulous. My 3-year-old, if you've been a watcher, she's a nut, but she's adorable, so she gets away with it. And so that's usually my crazy in the beginning of the podcast. I try to keep it short. I try to keep it somewhat relevant. I also have the dogs and the guinea pigs now. Oh my God. If you love guinea pigs, and go over to Scotty's Animals on YouTube, and he's a guinea pig rescuer in California. My God, he's a riot. But he's so good with these little things. They never scream bloody murder for him the way they do with us. But ours were rescued out of a home where they didn't have quite the large cage that they should have. So I think it's just an adjustment period. I mean, we haven't even had them a month yet. But they are lovely. And we enjoy them and we like them. So now let's get on to the knitting content. The knitting content. I am going to try to get on a schedule of releasing videos every Tuesday. Just one a week every Tuesday. I have also started a Patreon, TheYarnCloset. I have a shipping sponsor, my dad Ed, and I also have a sponsor, Growly Bear Soaps. She provides us with lip balm, hand balm, foot cream, stuff. It's all natural made products from here in Arizona. So those go out in every prize as well. I'm sending out one prize a month. And through the Patreon, what I'm hoping is to increase that. I would love to get to 2 or 3 or 4 prizes a month. I'd love to do a prize every week. It just would be fun. But that can be a little bit cost prohibitive. I have been throwing into prizes things like books that I have that I don't actually read, that are knitting related or crochet related. I would love to be able to throw in a handmade bag, like sock bag, for everybody. But, you know, those are spendy. So I've decided to just bite the bullet and try Patreon and see if you want to participate in that way in this Yarn Closet community. Because I love sending out the prizes, especially knowing that so many of the people that have gotten them are dealing with illness, are dealing with issues of being housebound, not able to be accessible to go places, but also you're not always able to get online and like think through the process and get the job done. When you're housebound, when you have illnesses, it affects your bottom line, your finances. So go over to Patreon and look for the Yarn Closet and give me some feedback. Let me know. My son is desperate to have some merch. Merch, Mom, you gotta have merch. So there might be a t-shirt or a mug in the future. He also thinks it would be a fabulous idea to have our own website so that we can link to featured pattern people and have articles. Getting him into this online school has just opened a window of imagination with the computer that he hasn't had yet, and so I'm very excited about that. So that could be in our future for this year. I'm not sure. Also, as many of you know, 2019 is the year of the sweater. I'm calling it Sweater 2019. Oh my gosh, I'm blowing out the laptop. So here is my first finished sweater. Dun, dun, dun. It's not blocked because it's acrylic. This is just the Lion brand. It started off with a pattern I loved by this woman named Hannah something. Her pattern is called Like a Hug. It's on Ravelry, and she has a couple of other patterns of cropped items and that boxier look, but made up for chunkier yarns. So what I did was I got gauge, I swatched. It was with a size 12 needle, but they weren't great needles. So got my swatch, did it, and I started, and because I got gauge, I just went. What I ended up with, because it was supposed to be two flat T-shaped panels seamed together, I ended up with something that was so big, even though she and I looked the same size, and so when I saw her in the pattern pictures, I thought this is going to be fine. It was going to be so big, and I had a limited amount of yarn. So what I did was, as I was knitting flat, I knit flat to about here, and then over here, I connected, and I started knitting in the round. I can feel where I wove in over here, and maybe it's visible. My finishing skills need some work. But the only way to do that is to finish projects. And I have so many bags with starts that I think I'm going to go back through and frog them all and try to be a little bit more monogamous. So what I did was, it was from bottom up, it was supposed to be flat. I ended up connecting it in the round, and I just knit in the round until I got here, and then I knit flat up, did more ribbing, went to the other side, knit flat up, did the ribbing, and then seamed it, connected it, and then picked up for my sleeves. They're not quite the same length because I just was done. I was done. I don't think my ribbing is very good because I should have used smaller needles, even though it didn't specify. I think to make the ribbing stand out, I should have used smaller needles. Also because the ribbing, see how they're kind of bell-shaped? I hate that. I think if I'd used smaller needles, that wouldn't have happened. And now this shoulder, I mean, works really nice. This shoulder has a bit of a ding there where it's seamed. So I'm not a big fan of that. But the bottom line is, it's done. It's accomplished. I am almost entirely positive that this microphone is having zero effect. So I'm hoping that we have decent sound. But here is the true test. See, I'm not a big, huge fan of these sleeves. I can feel where I picked up the stitches. It's a little bit tighter, and I don't like that this belled out. If I end up keeping this for myself and really decide I want to wear it, I'll rip those sleeves out and redo them. Because this was a pattern written initially for 2 flat pieces to be seamed together, I didn't take into account that I might get these little dings here. So maybe what I need to do is, if I rip these out, yeah, I just don't know. I should have done the sleeves in the original way she had designed as part of the seaming instead of picking up afterwards. But the picking up just seemed easier to me, although I don't think it really was. But I mean, here we go. It's on me. It fits me. It's per the designer. It's cropped. I mean, my actual waist is probably right here. I like the length here. I like the way the neckline fits me. I like that boat neck. I just don't like the way that the sleeves ended up. So I might rework them because this is quite warm and it's been ridiculously chilly here. Yes, I live in the desert. Yes, it's 115 in the summer. But we get to freezing on plenty of overnights in the winter, and today it's only supposed to be like 48. The shape and the size is great. It just saddens me that there's not more definition to the ribbing and this deal. I gotta fix that if I'm gonna wear this long term. Because what it feels like to me, and one of the reasons I wanted to start knitting, which I did last year, I've only been at this for about a year, is I would crochet sweaters, but they would be slightly too bulky because the crochet stitches are thicker. They would be too see-through, and then a lot of times the shaping wouldn't be quite right in the sleeves or in the necklines or the way it would hang, because the drape and crochet is so different. And I can't crochet with really thin yarn because I feel my stitches. So I would always have to use something like Sport was sketchy, DK or better, and that just, it didn't give me the kind of drape I wanted in the sweaters. I didn't feel like they were finished enough, and that's what I'm feeling about this. So in my knitting, because all the stitches are live, I can knit with something that is as small as fingering weight and be just fine and feel the stitches. My knitting still takes me a lot longer than my crochet, but I'm happy that I have the two now and can do different things in each. If I'm going to do a blanket, it's going to be crocheted because I'm going to whip that sucker out so much faster. And because most of my blankets are that worsted weight or better. Because I live in the desert, most of the sweaters or tops I want to make fingering, so I'm going to knit them. Socks, in my opinion, just don't work in crochet. Yes, I've done them. The slippers are not all that comfortable. I've done them. I've done them on the looms, the round looms, the square looms, whatever. So that is one reason why I think, as much as we all tend to start in one vein and stick to it, I think that there's a reason why people do both. So this is the first of Sweater 2019. I really want to fix this, but on the other hand, I really want to leave it to see my progression of better. And once I get better, then maybe go back and fix it. So now Sadie, the poodle guide dog who's in retirement, can have a blanket because it's a cold day. Alrighty. What else? I made a pledge to do a pair of socks every month. I told you I was going to do a different pair, but yesterday I just got it, a bug in my butt, to do this one. So here is a long sock tube that I have cranked, and on this end, I am not liking this laptop video. On this end, I went through and I sewed like a lifeline loosely through a row of stitches, so I knew where they were. Now I have yarn through these stitches because what I'm going to do is a hung hem. Yes, I can do it on the machine, I just didn't happen to, and it's fiddly either way, so it really doesn't bother me one way or the other. So I'm going to end up sewing that in as a hung hem today, and it's going to be about that long. I do like the hung hems in feel way more than I thought I would. This is a lovely yarn that has some alpaca to it. Braymont. I got it off the the old Craftsy website. I do like to buy the yarn off them with their sales because I think they have some really good sales. So I'm going to do hung hems, and then I'm putting in contrasting toes and heels. And I don't know if I'm going to make 2 pairs of shorties or just one longer pair. I haven't decided. I'll tell you what I've been using recently. I just got this at CVS. It's a little petroleum stick, but it smells fabulous. It's called Infant Rub, and it's got rosemary and eucalyptus, and it's something else because my glasses aren't on. I can't see it. I don't know. I really hope I don't have to redo this video, but it's looking like when I move, it's really crazy. I might just make you suffer through this time and go back to the iPhone or the iPad for next time. So, I am also in the process of finishing this shawl. I've got 2 colors done, the black and the gray and black. And then I've got some Dream in Color here, and I'm making that for a teacher. I am no longer working, period. Had some problems last week with my son and just decided to stop for a while. We'll see about it, where it ends up in the future, but I'm taking a break now for a few weeks at least, if not indefinitely. So I am getting on the February sock. It's the lovely orange alpaca. I may send them to my sister. She is a life coach, and orange is her color. We don't look anything alike. She is dark skin and dark brown hair, and we're like the Jet sisters. So I've got the sock for February going. I've got the shawl project going. I finished the first sweater of 2019. I have been so frustrated because I had such a good start going on this cropped Lion Brand sweater, very pink knits. There's a great tutorial, but I totally messed up one of the raglans, and I went back and I tried to fix it, and I messed it up more. And I can't quite see enough to figure out how to get my lifeline in to tink back to the end of my ribbing, and it's just so frustrated me. And like I said, I have so many started projects that I'm now like short on needles. So one of the things I'm thinking about is just starting it again and doing it with this superwash merino that I got from Lion Brand. Because this is a little bit of a toothier, the purple's a little toothier. And our cold weather, I mean, realistically, February is usually the last month. So I'm thinking if I made a sweater out of this, it's slightly lighter weight, and I think I would wear it more. When you wear sweaters here, it's because of the air conditioning most of the time. And then I have this bizarre Lion Brand yarn called Feels Like Butter that I'm thinking about also doing one in. And then I still have my Swancho that I started that I didn't love the way my short rows were going. And I just haven't touched that again. And I know I need to start that one over. The frustrating thing for me is the starting over. In crochet, you can fix things midway, and it's so hard to tell unless you're a really good crocheter, that this whole having to tink back excessively drives me batty. Drives me batty. And then the annoyance is I know that once I get to the very end, that my finishing is, as much as I try to do what they tell me to do and weave it in and whatever, it's not working. I can still tell where I've weaved in my stuff. Sometimes you can see it on the right side. This having a right side and a wrong side business is bizarre to me. Why would you want to make a knit blanket and have it have a wrong side? Where in crochet, most of the time, it's kind of two-sided. Even though you can tell a difference, it doesn't really matter. So that's where the Yarn Closet is for February. I hope that everyone has a lovely February. I hope that you are encouraged by Valentine's Day, and remember to look with your heart first and not your eyes. Look with your heart first, because if everybody did that, it would be a nicer world. Check out Patreon for the Yarn Closet and see what you think. Give me feedback. I love the feedback. We had a drawing in January and Cindy never responded, so then I did a second drawing. Carmen's name was pulled. I sent her off the package. She loved it. That was fabulous. So there will be a drawing yet in February, and I'm thinking it will be more around or just after Valentine's Day, because my son's birthday is on the 15th. I went into labor on Valentine's Day. I knew I would, and I did. So the next drawing will be on his behalf just after Valentine's Day. And if we start to get some Patreon support, the prizes will be more and more often. So just know that that is where all the dollars will go to. So thank you very much. I love my friends. I love CJ and Kevin and Sheila. Sheila, you just keep that Ravelry group going, and you could make toys for everybody. You're like Santa's happy little helper, and I'm so impressed by your work. Nana in Norway, you have a special spot in our heart. Barbara from Knitting I Love is the funniest Polish woman in Ireland. To hear her talk English with her slightly Irish accent is, I love it. I love it because I love to listen to podcasts. I don't watch TV anymore. I just listen to podcasts when I do life. Thank you, friends. Bye.